What's up, everybody? Welcome to Human Innovation Tarot. My name is Eddie with Imagine Life Development Center. And today I'm going to be doing a reading for Scorpio season, but also going to be checking in on the energy now that we're moving into the end of the year and moving into the end of this 9 universal year. So if you've been around for a hot minute, I've made a few videos. I made a two-part video all the way back in the beginning of January called The Universal Year 9 Part 1 and Part 2, where I explained and described what we can expect throughout this year. And then I think it was around maybe May or June where I did an update explaining what we might be expecting as we go through the rest of the year. And so here we are. We're approaching the end of this year. And to give a quick recap, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but this year is closing out one of the most pivotal and profound 9-year cycles. So in numerology, everything happens in a 9-year cycle. And in this case, we would have started this cycle back in 2017, I believe, if my math is correct. So think about where you were 9 years ago. Think about where you were, what you were doing, who you were rather, back in 2017, moving all the way up until the present moment. And who have you become? What have you learned? What's changed? What's not changed? What's been working? What's not been working? And this year has been about really two groups of people. And back in January, when I initially connected to this energy, I mentioned that there would probably be two groups of people. One group of people would be, this year might be the best year of your life. 2025 was the year that was incredible for you. Everything changed. Everything started to go your way. Everything was up and up. Conversely, the second group of people would be those who this year, this potentially has been one of the hardest or most difficult, potentially one of the hardest years of your life. So keeping that in mind, you should probably know where you're at by now that we're in November. Most of the year's gone by. You've probably experienced whatever this year was meant to bring you. Now, maybe not for everybody, of course, but I would say the vast majority of you, probably 80 or 90% of you, have already experienced or been shown or, have encountered the lesson, the area of your life that this year was meant to transform. And if I had to put it into or compare it to, using an example from tarot, it would be like the death card. This year is all about endings that lead to new beginnings. It's closing out a cycle. It's the death of old things, releasing old things, cutting ties with the past, cleaning the deck, clearing out, old energies, integrating the lessons from the past, and hopefully preparing for 2026, which is going to start a whole new 9-year cycle. So 9s in tarot represent the self. So you think of the 9 of Pentacles, the 9 of Cups, the 9 of Swords, and the 9 of Wands. So the 9 of Pentacles is really all about ourselves, like our self-worth, our self-value, things that are grounded, right? It could, getting away from like the superficial, definitions like, you're independently wealthy or you're doing well financially and all of that kind of stuff. A lot of tarot readers really, in my opinion, they kind of over-focus on the money element of Pentacles. And because the card Pentacles on the artwork of the card look like coins, look like money. But really, the pentacle represents earth energy, and earth is just anything that's tangible. It's the 3D world that we interact with, your five senses, anything that you can interact with in the tangible world. It's not just money. I mean, money is one of them for sure. It could be your health, it could be your body, you know, but it also represents things that are grounded and things that are practical. And so 9 is really about the self, because anything that you add to 9, you get the same thing back. If you add 1 plus 9, you get 10. And then 1 plus 0, you're back to 1. If you add 2 plus 9, you get 11. And then 1 plus 1, you're back to 2. 3 plus 9 equals 12. 1 plus 2, you're back to 3. So anything you add to 9, 9 plus 9, you get 18. 1 plus 8, you're back to 9. So the self, it's all about the self. 9 is about the self. It's a mirror energy, and it's a reflective energy. So the universal 9 asks us to reflect upon the things in our life that are mirroring back to us the things that we need to understand and we need to learn so that we can integrate with ourselves. If you think about the major arcana in tarot, the number 9 card is the Hermit. And the Hermit is about reflection, introspection, soul searching, wisdom and knowledge that we gain by introspection and soul searching. So the 9 of Pentacles is really about our self-worth, our self-value. Kind of a spin, a play on words with Pentacles there. The 9 of Cups is about your own emotional fulfillment, self-fulfillment. Whereas the 10 of Cups is about, our own fulfillment, but it includes the, external fulfillment as well. So you kind of get, everything with the 10 of Cups. But the 9 of Cups is focusing on your own emotions, your own emotional satisfaction and fulfillment. Then the 9 of Swords has to do with our own internal battles when it comes to our shadow side, really. Anxieties, fears, when we've allowed our thoughts to control us and dominate us, we allow, when we feed the ego, we allow the ego to run the show to the point to where it's out of control, and the ego has us believe, all the negative stories, all the negative thoughts that we've been saying to ourselves, but in a very extreme form. And then we move into the 9 of Wands, and the 9 of Wands is, the classic wounded warrior card, where, we've exerted a ton of energy, a ton of effort. We've been working and working and working, and now we're in burnout mode. We've exhausted ourselves, and the 9 of Wands is asking us to reflect and learn and understand where our passion, motivation, sensuality, and our desires and things like that have grown out of balance, right? So these are just a few examples. Now, why am I sharing all this with you guys? Because it's important to understand where we're sitting and where we're going. And as we're entering the last 2 months of 2025, it's a really good time to reflect and integrate what we've learned and start to see and know what the major lessons are. Because if we don't learn the lessons that were handed to us or shown to us in this 9 year, especially because it's also about the culmination of all the other years before it. So the 9 is kind of like, what have you learned in the last 9 years that has gotten you to this place that you are? So it may not necessarily even be the most recent challenges that you're dealing with. It could also be other challenges, all the challenges that have led up to this moment in time. So it's the entirety of the last 9 years culminating into one moment for us to evaluate and introspect so that we can learn and understand what we need to change, who we need to become, what we need to let go of, which for many of us is the past, so that we can become the best version of ourselves, clean out any negative energies, clean out any limiting beliefs, set our sights, set our target, and begin to look towards the future with the understanding and the lessons that we've learned so that we can continue along our journey in life and hopefully get closer to the things that we desire. So that's kind of a recap of where we are and where we've been in this year. Now, before I got online to begin this reading, the divine I was kind of getting some downloads here, and so there's a lot of you who have been feeling really, really stuck this year, and I'm trying not to be too general or too generic. I'm trying not to be too general or too generic here, but a lot of you guys have been feeling like you can't see the way through, you can't see the way out. And a lot of that has to do with too much focus on the past, too much focus on things like needing closure with people, relationships, or needing to understand things, or blocks, or situations where they don't really make a lot of sense. And you've been trying to make sense of it, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Things that feel incomplete, things that feel unresolved, things that are lingering, all that kind of stuff. And the divine is saying, you don't always have to understand what's happened in a season of your life to be able to move on to the next season of your life, because sometimes the answers that we seek are not here in the now. They're not in the logical process of trying to understand. Sometimes the answers come later, and sometimes the answers won't come at all, and we just have to be okay with that. Sometimes you're just never going to know. However, there's a high probability that later down the road you will know, because when you become that version of yourself, because you've integrated and you've grown, you're going to be able to look back and go, oh, okay, I get it now. Now I understand why that needed to happen, why that turned out the way that it did, why that didn't turn out the way that it did, why that ended, why that person did this, whatever your circumstance or situation may be. So my point is it's important not to get hung up on things that you can't understand or you can't figure out or that feel unresolved. The divine is saying it's time to move on for now. Maybe not forever, but for now, it's time to move on. It's time to focus on yourself, because we're still not out of the woods. We're not really going to be, the energy of this year is not going to completely be done with until probably like March of 2026. It'll be much, much less than it is now, but just because we cross over into the new year doesn't mean that the energy of this year hasn't completely died out, because there's always that bit of bleed over energy, right? That's just the way that energy works. So it's important to continue to focus on what you're learning and who you're becoming, more so than trying to understand things outside of yourself. So in other words, focus on your internal world. Focus on the things that you do know, that you do see, the awareness that you do have, and focus less on external things that don't really make a whole lot of sense. And the more that you focus on even just one thing that you can extract, even if that's all that you could come up with. If you're like, man, this year's been a shit show, and I'm trying to understand what to make of it, but it's really hard. It's like, well, just find one thing. Just one thing. You don't need to find 5 or 10. I mean, if you can find more, it's like, well, I've learned this, and this. That's great. That's amazing. But don't pressure yourself into thinking that, there has to be a lot of answers. Just find the one thing, and that might be the most important thing you need to know that this year, or even the last 9 years for that matter, have taught you, so you can integrate that into your life, because that thing may be pivotal in the you that you're meant to become as you go into 2026, so that the things that you desire will begin to unfold. Okay. So, with that being said, we're going to jump into the reading, and we're going to just let the divine tell us kind of what to expect between now and the next month. And I'll probably do one final 2025 reading near the new year. So I'm not going to make any promises, but hopefully I'll be able to do that. All right, so what are the messages from the divine? Look at the bigger picture. So the divine is saying with this energy, actually let me get all of the cards out. Fix my camera here a little bit. All right, sorry about that. Bring love into the situation. And what do you need to release? Which is actually exactly everything that corresponds to the nine year release, endings. Like I said a second ago, the death card energy, right? And at the bottom of the deck, it's time to release negativity. So 2 cards here that talk about release, because that's what this energy is all about. And actually, it's interesting. It's the full moon in Scorpio, and we're in Scorpio season. So it's saying, hey, this is the time we're coming to the end of the race. We're coming to the end of this year. Now is the time to do it's sort of like when you think of like people, if you celebrate Christmas, right? And you're a shopper, and then they have, we have what's called last minute Christmas shopping. This is kind of that same type of idea. It's like, this is the last minute releasing. This is the last minute opportunity to really utilize the energy. And for those who have been resistant or unaware or just cruising in through autopilot this year, then this year's probably been very brutal for you, because the way the energy works is that there's always an energy that is going to be there whether we like it or not. That's kind of the idea behind numerology and astrology, right? Is that there is this external energy that's influencing us, right? And then we have our internal world, our internal energy, as above, so below, as within, so without, that kind of thing. But there's internal energy that affects us as well. And so the best way to live your life is to partner with the energy, or be in alignment, I guess might be a better word to use, with the energy that's present, which is a lot like sitting in a raft or a canoe and going down the river, going with the flow. Let the current take you, right? Versus trying to resist it and swimming upstream, which is going to be a lot harder to do, and eventually you're going to exhaust yourself trying to do it, because that's just a battle you're just not going to win. So the purpose of a lot of spirituality and understanding this stuff isn't just to be woo-woo, and it's not just for us to be out here going, oh wow, yeah, astrology and numerology, blah blah blah. There's this moon, and then we're in this season, and it's this thing that's happening, and it's this transit. It's like, it's not, spirituality doesn't exist for the sake of spirituality because we're a bunch of spiritual nerds that are just into spirituality. It's here to give us a blueprint, to give us a guide, to give us a map, to help us understand what the energetic tides are. Just like the moon affects the tides. There's high tide and there's low tide. Well, there's energy that affects life. in different areas of our life. And if you understand the energy that is impacting you, impacting us collectively at any given moment, then you can partner with that energy, meaning you can be in alignment with that energy, and you can collaborate with it. It's like, oh, this is the energy that I have. It's almost like seasons. If you know it's winter and you know you're going to be freezing cold, then you can prepare for it. It's like, okay, I got to get my winter clothes out. I know it's going to be cold out. You can prepare because you know the season. And then when spring comes around, you're prepared for spring. And then summer, it's going to be hot. And then fall, right? It's that kind of vibe. It's important for us to understand that energy is just is. It's neither good nor bad. It's all neutral. But how we interact with it will shape the outcomes of the things that we create and experience in our life. You can be doing everything right, but in resistance to the overall energy and not getting a positive result. And it's like, I don't understand. I'm doing everything that I knew to do, but I can't get a result no matter what I try. It's like, yeah, because the energy that you're in is in opposition to the things that you're trying to do. In other words, it's the wrong actions, it's the wrong behaviors on our part based on the overall energy that's affecting everyone in humanity. And since we're in this 9 energy right now, this universal 9 energy, the best thing for all of us to be doing is to be releasing and letting things go, letting things die, closing out the last 9 years, learning, growing, integrating those lessons, and preparing for 2026. 2026 is 1 year energy, which is about new beginnings, starting new things, launching new things, having a vision for the next 9 years, right? And so when you align yourself with the energy that's present, then you're going to get the best results, and then that energy is going to be a lot easier on you. The effects of that energy and the way they show up in your life are going to be a lot easier on you, and you're going to get the best bang for your buck without having to go through a lot of turmoil, a lot of destruction, and those types of things. So with that being said, the first energy out is look at the bigger picture. This is about looking at the bigger picture of your life, especially the last 9 years. But it's also looking at the bigger picture of your future. And if your life feels small right now, or your life doesn't feel like it's really changed much, or maybe it just feels like it's gotten worse, or things haven't really evolved, then the divine is asking you, well, that's because you haven't looked, you're not seeing the big picture of what's been trying to transform inside of you and within you in the last 9 years. In other words, you're just not aware of the changes that are trying to evolve and grow you into the you that you need to become, so that you can move forward and have the life that you want. But then there's the second energy, which is about you needing to understand and have a vision, goal, and purpose for the thing that you want to have, right? It requires both. But more importantly, right now, it's looking at the big picture of what needs to be left behind, what needs to die, and how to integrate the lessons that you've learned in the last 9 years into something that's tangible and transformational. Then we have bring love into the situation. Now, this is literal and metaphorical. For some of you, this could have to do with things like family, forgiveness, romance, partnerships, children, bringing love into things that have been very difficult or trying. It could be in bringing love into things that you just need to release. Things like closure, things like breakups, things like divorce. Again, things that, maybe even death, somebody died, and you're asking yourself why. Why did this happen? Why did this occur? And you don't have answers. You don't have the closure. And so the divine is saying, bring love into the situation, and you'll get what you need, even if you don't get the exact type of closure that you're seeking. And then lastly, it's talking about bring love into the situation of your life, meaning for a lot of you, the main lesson is you're not You're not loving who it is that you actually are as a divine sovereign being. You're just existing. You're stuck in the matrix. You're going through Groundhog's Day, doing the same thing every day. And deep down inside, you feel the lack of fulfillment. You feel the thing inside of you that's been missing. You feel that part of you that's hungry and desiring more. But you're not evolving. You're not growing. You're unhappy. You're unfulfilled. Nothing's changing. And the divine is saying, bring love into that situation. And the more that you understand who you are through the application of self-love, and I know that sounds really cheesy and generic, but it's true. As you integrate the lessons of love that have shown up in all forms, whether it was through success, celebration, things that you wanted, that you got, that you desired, or even through the contrast, through the losses, through the pain, through the hurt, through the suffering, things that you didn't ask for, because love is everywhere, it exists in all things, even in atrocities, love is there. Even if the only part of love in the atrocity is just recognizing what love isn't. But love is always there, no matter what. What do you need to release still? If you're really, really honest with yourself, what do you need to release? What do you need to let go of? And what are you still holding on to that you're unwilling to release? And why aren't you wanting to release it? What's hard to release, even if you're wanting to release it? And then it's time to release negativity. Anything in your life that is holding you back, that feels like weight, dead weight, that's baggage, trauma, feels like you're tied to an anchor, and someone throws you in the water and an anchor is tied around your neck and around your feet, and you're just sinking deeper and deeper and deeper. You're drowning, right? Negative energy. What negative energy are you holding within yourself, whether you mean to or not, whether you intend to or not? It's like, doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Doesn't mean that, you meant to have negativity or hold on to negativity. But everybody's got something. Everybody's got some type of pain, hurt, betrayal, loss, baggage. We all have something. And it's about identifying what that something is so that we can release it and transform it, so that we can get free from it. Right? So let's see what else that the divine wants us to know. And again, this is just a check-in. I say, cool. The very first card that came out is love. So yeah, a lot of you guys have been dealing with issues of love, and then we have burden. It's like a 10 of Wands energy. And then we got those trees there, not seeing the forest through the trees. And then we have the dragon, power and strength. And so the divine is saying, look, there are things in your life. And then we have communication at the bottom. So, and there's a few energies attached with the communication card. There's communication with yourself, the things that you're saying to yourself that are tied to the negativity that you need to release. Communication with others. What are things that you could say that need to be said, things that have been left unsaid? And what are you communicating with the divine? What are you asking for? What are you inquiring of? So this covers all levels of communication within oneself. So the love energy that we have here has to, again, to do with bring love into the situation. So that's confirmation about what I said earlier. So I'm not going to repeat it, but love is the theme, right? Many of you have been having a lot of relationship struggles, and this year has really shown a light on your relationship struggles. So what needs to be released and what negativity needs to be released? What needs to be communicated? What burdens need to be let go of? Or what burdens need to be even realized through awareness? And you have the power and strength, like the strength card here. That's what this dragon card is really. It's really strength. It's about courage and compassion, but it's also about the ability to move forward with bravery, because that's what courage is. It's not the absence of fear, it's doing it scared. But more than anything, it's about self-control. It's about how we navigate the difficulties of life without losing ourselves despite the difficulties. In other words, the difficulties don't transform us and overwhelm us and burden us to where we become people that feel powerless or incapable or insecure or immobile. You know, we remain steady. We remain secure. We keep going, even when it's difficult. The burdens. These are any burdens in your life in this year. What burdens in the last 9 years of your life? What things have needed to be released, negatively or not? What baggage are you carrying within the last 9 years, including this year, that's no longer yours to carry? What things are no longer serving you? And if you're really honest with yourself, because the truth sets us free, what things do you need to release? Whether it's career, whether it's relationships, whether it's health, whether it's your thoughts. What things need to be released? Any burdens, financial decisions, patterns, habits, addictions. And then, like I said, communication applies to all communication in your life. The way you talk to yourself, the way you talk to others, and the communication that you have with the divine. And if it's non-existent because you don't spend time with the divine, because you're not spending time with yourself, then maybe that's the problem, because the divine's probably trying to communicate with you. And lastly here, we have transformation at the bottom of the deck, which I'm not surprised because, again, like I said, this is like the death card energy. Everything is meant to transform. And if you lean into the transformative energy that's meant to change you, then you're leaning into the transformative energy that is going to create the future that you're desiring. Because that's what transformation is. Now, the problem is that we focus on the things outside of us that we want to change because we think that's where the fulfillment is, instead of focusing on the transformation inside of us, which is where the fulfillment actually is. So we've just all been taught the opposite, the wrong way to troubleshoot things in life. All of us have been taught in this world to focus on something outside of us, because that, whatever that thing is, more money, a better body, a relationship, more stuff, whatever that thing is, or things, plural, those are the things that are going to make us happy and fulfilled, when that's not true. It's us learning how to be fulfilled with inner self first. It's finding inner fulfillment, unity, oneness with the divine, connecting to who it is that we really are, understanding ourselves, finding our purpose and passion in life, understanding why we're here, and what it is that we feel like we're supposed to do. Because we can only know someone as deeply as we know ourselves. We can only experience life in its fulfillment so much as we understand the fulfillment and experience the fulfillment that we have with ourselves. You can only love somebody as deeply as you love yourself. Everything is a mirror, and it all starts with us, but we've been taught out of that truth, unfortunately. So transformation is the name of the game. It's what we're here for this year. And if you've been resisting that transformation, or you feel victimized by it because a lot of shit's happened this year and it hasn't made sense to you, and you feel like you just keep getting knocked down, then you're just misunderstanding the purpose of it, because you're probably asking the wrong questions. You're probably interpreting it the wrong way. You're viewing it through the lens of, why is this happening to me, instead of, what is this meant to teach me? What should I be learning right now? What power do I have? What could I be changing? Those are the questions that empower us. Now we have radiance, which is interesting. We have the phoenix here, which is tying back to the transformation energy. We have inspiration. This is like an Ace of Wands type of energy, and we have playfulness. So this is what the divine is saying, is like your radiance is your energy. It's your spiritual energy. Your radiance is what happens when you become fulfilled in life. You begin to radiate with creativity. You begin to radiate with love. You begin to radiate with magnetism, which is what draws things to you via the law of attraction. It's your radiance is what people notice about you because you've transformed. It's the radiance within you that you notice about yourself because you've transformed. And that's the result of self-love. Is like, oh, I've transformed now. I actually love who I am. I like who I am. Oh, look at my life. Things are beginning to change. I'm beginning to recognize signs and synchronicities. Opportunities and new doors are opening up to me. That's what radiance leads to. So radiance is the effect of transformation if we lean into it, if we embrace it, if we embody it. Inspiration. Inspiration is to be in spirit, inspired, to be in spirit. And when we are in spirit, because we're connected to ourselves, then all things start to become possible. Because now we're motivated, we're inspired, we begin to see the world through the lens of the creator within us, which is the magician card in tarot. We start to say, oh, this is possible. I could do that. Ooh, I've got an idea for that. I think I could do that. I should do that. I should go there. Ooh, that person looks good to me. They feel like they're in alignment with me. And inspiration creates a level of confidence because now you're not afraid anymore. You just feel confident. You're like, I think I can do this. And so I'm going to do it. A force greater than me inside of me is urging me to move forward in ways that I did not know that I was capable of. It's like divine. It's divine inspiration. It's divine confidence. And divine confidence is essentially what faith is. The ability to believe in things that have yet not manifested. You don't have a tangible, you don't have the tangible equivalent of the thing that you've set your sights on yet. But it doesn't, but you're not concerned with that yet. You're just taking action because you just believe. It's like, I know that I can do this. And then lastly, we have playfulness here. And playfulness is just about being like a child. It's just learning how to enjoy life, not taking things so seriously, even when things feel very serious. It's learning to laugh at life, having humor and saying, you know what, we're all going to die. And I know that sounds very morbid and tragic, but it's the truth. We're all going to die. And if you're really honest with yourself, a lot of the problems that we have are first world problems compared to people who have nothing or who live in third world countries. Like, somebody has it way worse than we have it. And most of the time, the reason that things feel so bad for us is just because of the thoughts that we believe that we think. And because of the thoughts that we believe that we think, it creates negative emotions and feelings within us. And so we spend a lot of time in negative emotions or stressed or anxious or just hustling, distracted, and busy all the time and doing all this stuff. And time is flying by. And we feel like, man, life is passing me by and I have no time. It's not really true. It's just that we've been living through habituated patterns that we've not stepped out of because we haven't taken control of our lives. We're stuck in a loop, a hypnotic rhythm that we could break anytime we really wanted to, if we wanted to. And that's what the transformation and the difficulties are meant to do. They're meant to crash us in. They're meant to like blow up the hypnotic pattern of life that we've been living so that we have a moment, to actually make a new decision and say, hey, do I want to keep living this? Do I want to my life kind of blew up right now. Do I just want to recreate it the same way that it was before and just get right back into the same loop that I was in? Or do I want to look at this as an opportunity to say, yeah, things blew up in my life, whatever that thing is. Maybe it's multiple things. It doesn't matter. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to go a different direction, to go a different way, to become a different me. And then if we choose the path and we take the detour, the divine steps in, and down the road, what we realize is like, wow, the divine was actually, it was a blessing in disguise. the divine was taking me in a direction that I could not have realized, that the divine was actually trying to pull me in the direction of the life, the fulfilling life that I truly deeply desired. It's just I got so comfortable, because comfort is easy, is comfort is very addicting. It's easy to stay in comfort. And we're all wired that way. Our human default is to gravitate towards comfort and certainty. We don't like uncertainty. We don't like unknowns. We don't like surprises that are unexpected, that could affect us negatively. So we trade fulfillment for comfort, essentially. And the divine is saying, but a lot of you really don't want that, if you're honest with yourself. And your spirit doesn't want it. Maybe right here in your conscious logical thought, you think you want it, but what's in your heart has just been suppressed because you've been living in comfort and certainty for so long. But you really, if you were to sit and analyze your life, you'd say, man, life is very stale. It's stagnant. I'm purpose depressed. I'm really not fulfilled. Doesn't have to mean that you're completely miserable, but it's lukewarm. Life is lukewarm. And do you want to live a lukewarm life and die? And for some of you, maybe it is miserable. But you're meant for more. If you're watching this video right now, if you're listening to this reading, you're meant for more. And that's what this year and the last 9 years, and potentially your entire life, has been meant to teach you and show you and communicate to you. And if you're willing to embrace it and you're willing to integrate it, then as this year closes out, you can step into a new 9-year cycle and experience things that you could have never imagined, never dreamed of, because that's the intent of the divine, because the divine will never give us anything that's not in our highest good. So what is in your highest good? Well, what's in your highest good is to be fulfilled, is to be empowered, is to live the life of the magician, and to co-create a reality with the divine that is very fulfilling for you and very beneficial to the collective, because that's what we're all here to do. So this is just a quick update reading, even though this reading probably wasn't very quick, but I just wanted to hop on and check the energy now that we've moved into Scorpio season, and because I haven't posted any readings in the last few months because I've been busy in my own 9-year shenanigans. I've been going through my own things. And so, we're all in it. We're all going to be affected by it at some point. But hopefully, this has spoken to somebody out there, someone out there that needed to hear this. And this reading is meant to encourage you. Hope costs nothing. Giving up costs everything. You never lose if you learn. So I'm going to leave it here. And hopefully I will see you all very soon. And if you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, clicking the bell notification icon, and come join me for a free live tarot reading. And with that said, love and light. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. All the other information is in the description box below. And as always, my friends,
I'm not a bloody psychic.